you from the side porch. I'm trying to avoid all this trim that's sitting underneath the camera. And we are working on windows. It's a little bit cold out here in the side porch. I think this is what we're calling the side porch. A little bit cold out here because, well, it's not really super well insulated. It's meant to be a 3-season porch, and this is the 4th season. The 4th season is cold. It's very cold. It's sleeting today. It snowed yesterday or the day before. And we still need to take windows out. If you look at our project plan or our schedule, it is just windows, 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 windows are like a big part of phase 1, which is what we're in right now. Yes, we are project nerds. We are planning everything. We have a whole thing with Airtable where we've got, I don't know, probably at this point, hundreds and hundreds of tasks. These are double hung wooden sashes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 still in this porch. Already taken 2 out. And I think you should be able to see a little bit of this one if I get out of the way. This is with the sashes out. The storms are still in here, which is why we can do this, because the storms help just protect the windows, keep the majority of the bad weather out of getting into this interior space. So we try to keep those in, take these out, maybe put some plastic up just to further, keep things kind of halfway insulated. So what I'm going to do right now is, as I mentioned, take this window out. So what tools do you need to do that? Here's some parts of the window I've already taken out. You need a pair of needle pliers. For me, at least, I use a cat's paw because cat paws are one of my favorite tools. And I also use a screwdriver. So how do I use these tools? And why do I need them? What am I going to do with them? So this piece right here, let me kind of do a little bit of a guide as to window structure, which I might have already done. This piece right here is the window stop. And it's called out because it keeps the window from coming out, so it stops the window. I'm making that up, but that's probably true. So I want to take the window stop out so I can get the window out. I don't want to stop the window from coming out. I want to really take it out. Then there's another piece right here that is between the sashes, and that's called the parting bead. It parts the 2 windows. So I want to take the parting bead out on one side. I don't want to take both sides out. It's not necessary. You could definitely take it all out. You could deconstruct the entire thing. You still have to put it back together. So I try to do the minimum I need to in order to be able to take these windows out and restore the sashes. This is a sash, this is a sash, this is the frame. And that's what I'm going to do today, is just take one of these out. So first things first, cat's paw. Someone's already clearly tried to work on these windows before, so I don't have to break the paint. Otherwise I would bring out like a utility or something like that. So I'm just going to stick the cat's paw underneath this trim, push it underneath, and just gradually pull it out. And someone's just used like finishing nails on this, so I'm just going to be gentle with it. I don't want to destroy the trim. I actually want to save it, because you can't just buy this trim. If I destroy some of this window stops, then I have to find a replacement or mill a replacement. And then if I destroy enough of them, then it's like, well, I'll just replace all the trim in the house. And then that becomes a whole thing. So here we go. Cause a little bit of noise. And I'm just trying to be gentle. There we go. We got 2 nails out. Now we're just going to work on the top. The top sounds like the wood is splintering a little bit, so I'm just going to be extra gentle with my pressure. And there you go. That is one window stop out. We are going to probably set this on the ground. It's going to fall over anyway. Those nails. All right, so that's cleared out. You can see the wood from the window where it wasn't painted. It's painted around the window stop. You can see, whoa, That's crazy. This sash cord made of nylon is just falling apart. It's like turning into dust. So we're going to replace the sash cords. Clearly it turned to dust, and then the sash cord that was there just fell through. So how do I take this window out now? Well, really difficult. Not really. It might be because this thing is kind of stuck in here. All right, so I have to pull it up and to get it free of this window stop on the bottom. And then I just pull one side out, the side I freed up, and there we go. So you can see a little bit of the construction of the window here. Might have done this in a previous video. This is a good example of what it's supposed to look like. Wow, you can really see the difference between the degraded cord and the cord that was in here. This is really nice and tight still. This is just falling apart. It's like nothing's left. All right, so this is the pocket for the window. You can see I've got the sash cord in here. It's just like a little knot. It's a very basic knot. And I'm gonna just pull this out, throw this on the ground, clean that up later. That's just a nylon cord. I've seen a couple of them in some of these windows here where someone had replaced the sash cords at some point, but you don't want to use nylon. It's going to degrade. Nylon rope. You want to use something like a regular cloth rope or even a chain. So we're going to do the same thing over here. It's not really necessary at this point actually to remove the sash cords. I can do it later. So this is ready to go over to April. April has a whole, whoa, look at that. See that? That's why we do this. This is all alligatored. They call it alligator because it looks like an alligator's hide. This is all going to kind of get stripped off. This old paint, the old glazing that's holding the window in, kind of weatherproofing the window, is going to get pulled out. The inside side of it, it's not too bad. You can see here, not nearly as bad. So this is the side that gets all the weather. We just want to like get it nice and primed, painted with some really strong exterior weather resistant paints. So I'm going to put this off to the side. April's going to take that on in a second. And now I'm going to take the rest of this window out. So in order to do that, usually what I have to do, is free up the sash. And sometimes between the parting bead and the sash, it's been painted in a lot of times, the upper sash. They'll open the bottom sash. Obviously you put screens in, you do stuff like that. But a lot of people don't do that with the upper sash. Originally, what I understand is during the summer, the whole reason you have two sashes, like why have an upper sash? Why do you even bother? You would have this so that way you could pull the upper sash down, pull the bottom sash up, and both windows would sort of be in the middle, and you'd have airflow below and above, and it would create sort of a natural air conditioning. You know, the cold air would flow in during the summer, the hot air would flow out. You do that with all your windows. Now we have air conditioning, so no one really does that anymore, which is why you don't really see double hung windows like this. You might see them, but it's just the bottom sash can move, and the top sash, like a new window, won't necessarily move because it's, not really important anymore. So this one actually looks like it's been used before. It looks like the paint has been broken up, but it's been a while. So and this wood is probably swelled. So I'm gonna have to free this up. First, so I'm just gonna grab into this parting bead and just pull. And you might have heard that sound. That's the paint breaking. I just need to break that seal so that way I can pull this parting bead out. Now, a lot of people, when they restore old windows, are just like, parting bead's gonna break, just deal with it. You're not gonna be able to save it, replace it later. I found, at least in this house, that I'm able to save most of the parting beads. So I'm trying to do that because why waste good old wood if it's still good and it still fits? Like, let's just keep using it. So this parting bead looks like it's gonna be good. Woo, a lot of cold air coming out of this. I'm not wearing gloves, just easier to work with my hands that way. So I could just pull the bottom of this parting bead out, but the top part is still stuck. So all I'm really doing right at this point is just freeing up the parting bead. And I might I pull it out a little bit and then just push it back in because I want to free up the bottom of it. I'm just trying to be as careful as possible. There we go. So I don't know if you saw this in the video, but the bottom just popped out. So I'm just going to gently just maybe tap this back in because I just needed to break the seal. In order to get the parting bead out, I have to pull this entire window down because this sort of natural weather strip that's built into the window, not like an actual extra piece of wood, it's actually cut that way. I need to move that out of the way of the parting bead so I can pull the rest of this out, otherwise I will have to break it. So first I need to break the seal on this window. So I'm just going to stick my cat's paw in various points between the parting bead and the sash, and just give it a little wiggle, give it a little bit of pressure, kind of break any seals that are happening there. Here's a little bit of crustiness in some of this paint. Alright, so next up, I'm just going to try to wiggle it like that. If I can wiggle it on both sides, that means I can probably pull it down. That means there's enough free. So now I'm going to put some pressure on the bottom of this sash and just try to pull it down. Alright, that's good. So now I can actually get around the top part of the sash and do the same thing. So you can see that sash cords on here, really good shape. These were used quite frequently. They ended up basically dying a horrible death. These not so much. I actually see the original paint in here. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it's like a yellowish paint. We've seen that a lot. We see a little bit of that still here and there in this porch. So I'm just going to push this down, let it wiggle a little bit. Little pieces of glazing. Let's see if you can see this. Little pieces of glazing falling out. Yeah, this is just crumbling out. So everyone's going to have a fun time with this. It's nice and easy to get the glazing out. Alright, so I'm just going to try to pull this up. Alright, so this is pretty much wiggled down like decently. There we go. Get it off the rest of the way down. Now, do the same thing I did down there, up here. Try to wiggle this parting bead out. So it's not really wiggling, it's not really breaking too easily. This is actually a pretty good paint seal. I could cut that a little bit and then break it that way. But what I prefer to do in this case is get my cat's paw underneath here and just start prying a little bit here. So I'm just going to put my, those pliers here to just hold my position on this. I'm just going to kind of walk it up. And there we go. That just pops right out. There's one nail right in the middle. That's pretty typical in this house. And now this parting bead is coming right out. So you can do this with double hung window. You can save the parting bead. You just need to be able to move this bottom sash down so that there's room. There we go. So that's a pretty good break. Now I just have to wiggle this window out of the way and get the bottom of this parting bead out. There we go. You almost have to pull the parting bead, push down the window, break the seal. Yeah, there we go. We'll just turn the parting bead, able to rotate very lightly here. So there we go. Parting bead is free. There's a little nail. So I'm going to put this down. Parting bead is good as another. As far as this place is concerned, get my tools out of the way. Now, can't just take this windows out because sash cord. So, am I going to save the old sash cords? Not really. These have been here for probably, I don't know, 100 years or so. So, we're going to replace them with some new sash cords. Just to be on the safe side, brand new sash cords, might as well. So I'm just going to cut these with needle nose pliers, a wire cutter. And for now, I am going to just tie a very light knot in them. And the reason I'm doing that is to prevent this from, destructively the weight just falling all the way down. I want to hold the weight in place so that way I can remove it when I'm ready to remove it. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to cut out the sash cord here, doing a very basic knot. I'm sure it has a name. I just don't know what it is. It's just the knots. And just letting it go. Now the sash should be free. So I'm going to pull from this side gently. It's going to free up. I might wiggle this a little bit so that way it can come out. There we go. Ta-da! All right, so this one, you can see we have this glazing, this old glazing just falling out. Probably see that in the video, maybe you can't. Alligatoring paint. This is ready to get restored. So I'm going to take it over to April and restore it, have her restore it. All right, here's how we do the pocket doors. And pocket doors are where the window weights are. So I want to get those window weights out. So each of these pocket doors has a screw on top and bottom. I could use this is the right direction. I could use a impact driver for this, but these screws are very small. Because they're small, I'm just going to put them someplace where they'll be safe. Because a lot of work has to get done on these window frames here, especially here for this paint. Of course, I dropped a screw. Paint here on this window ledge is just flaking right off. So I haven't taken any of these out yet. Usually I wait. I want to demonstrate this to you guys. So I've taken the screws out of this. It doesn't have a parting bead holding it in. It doesn't have the edge of the window stop holding in it normally would. So this one's going to be pretty easy. You can see someone's already tried to take it out. Like there are little carve outs here where someone has taken a screwdriver and tried to pry this. So what I'm going to do is, take advantage of that. I'm just going to be gentle. I don't want to take out the wood. So this should just come right out. Yep. And you can see that's the pocket door. It's not like a door with a hinge or anything. It's just a piece of wood that's been cut to fit that space. So I'm just going to put that in the screws over here. And you can see inside of it. So you've got these cords. That is really gross. So I'm going to take this cord. This is the cord, the sash cord for the weight that's over here, the nylon one. I'm just going to grab this and pull it out. So you can see this is what makes the window go, so to speak. These weights, this is weighted to be half the weight or a little bit more of that window. So that way, when the window's down here, this is balancing it. And if it were too heavy, we've done this before where we've actually accidentally used weights that were too heavy for the window, or thought we couldn't use them. And the weight was too heavy and the window just, the weight pulled the window up. We don't want that. We want a weight that's balanced. So that way, when you move the window up, the weight moves down and holds the window in place. It's a counterbalance. So we're definitely going to reuse these. These are just sort of, poured iron. They have rust on them, but they're still pretty good. So I'm just going to cut off the old sash cord. They did a triple knot on this. It's kind of unnecessary. A single knot is usually more than enough, and I'll show you how I do those knots in another video. I might have already shown you, in fact. I've gotten really good at those knots because I've had to do 15 of them so far, or 15 times 4. So there we go, that's done. We're gonna throw that away. I'm gonna save this for later. And we've got our other weight here. Now, interestingly, we have a third weight in this. And I think this weight that's attached to this cord actually is attached to this window over here. They actually have a weird like double pocket. Weird for this house. You might have those in your house. You might have seen those before. Our house does not have two windows next to each other to have double pockets. This house, however, does quite a bit. So I'm going to take this guy out as well. So I'm just going to undo the knots, put my hands back in this pocket. So you're like, no, don't put your hands in the dark space of old stuff. Isn't that nasty? And it's like, you get used to it. There we go, that's out. So that's actually a pretty clean knot. Usually when I pull these out, they're super, super dirty. So this one, like I said, we're not gonna be able to save the sash cord, but what we should be able to do is just pry it off. They redid this one recently. They actually did a double knot. The old ones just have a single knot. They know what's up. They know that all they need is one knot. All right, so we got this around. We're gonna cut this off. Cool, that's ready to go. So when I replace them, it's basically in reverse. So new sash cords in, new sash weights, or new old sash weights. Thread everything through, top sash, put it in, attach the sash cords to that top sash. That fits in, put the old parting bead in, that's pretty solid. If it's done right, in terms of the height of the sash, the length of the sash cord, and the weight of the sash weights, that should pull that window up. So I think, I don't know exactly how the weight is engineered, but the weight should be a little bit heavier than the window for the top sash to ensure that those weights are pulling down and pulling up that top sash, but not so much that you couldn't pull the top sash down and it couldn't like hold basically an equilibrium. So there's an amount of, if you get in the science of it, there's definitely that equilibrium and weight on either side of these pulleys, but there's also an element of friction. So even though the sash weights are probably a little bit heavier than the windows by design in order to ensure that you can, have that force pulling that window up, there's also an element of friction to hold these windows in. So there's no weather stripping here, you can see. The weather stripping is kind of built into these window stops to these just sash separation pieces of wood. Parting beads, there we go. Talking too much, not thinking about it, it's a problem. And the weather stripping is built into the window as well, so it's all wood. There's no, spring bronze or anything like that that's acting as a weather strip. Now we could add that, and we may at some point, but these are still pretty good as is with the storm windows, with being restored. They should be good enough to hold out the weather. So that's it. That's about how we take the windows out. Kind of a little bit about how we kind of put them back in again, which is basically take them out but in reverse with a few more steps. And now we're going to get these over to April so she can have some windows to work with. All right, on to the next project.
Welcome to Window World. I'm in an endless process of restoring all of the old windows in the house. These ones I restored a couple of days ago. They're just finishing their curing process and then they will be ready to prime and paint. These sticks are parting beads that separate the upper sashes from the lower sashes so you can open and shut both of them. And those are the sashes I've done so far today. This is extra glass that Steve uses to cut new panes of glass when we find broken windows. This is the sash I'm about to start working on. Isn't it beautiful? Actually, I know some people pay a lot of money to get this distressed wood look, but it's no good for windows. So here's the deal. This is peeling paint, and that's going to need to be stripped and sanded off so that new paint will adhere. This is old window glazing. And this is my trusty friend, Glazol. This is the new stuff that I'm going to be installing, but first I have to get this old stuff out. The glazing compound is used for two purposes. One, it helps keep the glass attached to the wood window sashes. There's glazing points, which are thin little metal triangles that hold the glass in, but then the glazing compound is supposed to also help hold it in, so obviously that's not helping much. The other thing it does is helps keep air out or in, so it helps keep weatherproofed, and it helps keep moisture, the water, from sitting on the wood when it rains. So obviously if this was the downside and the rain was coming in here, it would be sitting in here and rotting the wood window sashes, so that's no good. So I need to get all of this glazing out, cleaned up, reglazed, and then the glazing needs to cure. For that process, I have my trusty friend, the glazing tool. It's got two sides. This is my favorite side because not only do you use it to shape the glazing compound into the sashes, but it's also really great for popping out old window glazing like this. Goodbye. 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 Yep, that's how easy it pops out. It's not supposed to pop out like that. It's also not supposed to be rock hard. Nope. Actually, glazing compound, let's look inside. It has the consistency of Play-Doh when it's warmed up. So it's supposed to be a little pliable. It's definitely not supposed to be like that. So my first project is to pop off all of this window glazing a little at a time. I work from the bottom up so that I don't run the risk of cracking or breaking the glass. I learned that the hard way. Steve and I broke many panes of glass at our own house while we were learning how to do this. But I've gotten better at it over time, and I've learned how to do it more carefully. So this one's really easy to do because it's so bad. I suspect that this is the original glazing compound. The house was built in 1874. The windows may have been installed later, but I suspect this window glazing is somewhere between 80 to 100 years old. So it's definitely served its useful life. And so I'm not gonna sit here and make you watch me deglaze this entire window because here's the problem. There are 6 panes of glass, 4 sides for each pane. Yeah, that's 24 sides. At our house, we have panes of glass that are, or window sashes that are 2 panes on the top, 2 panes on the bottom, so 4 panes altogether. This one has 6 panes on the top, 1 pane on the bottom. 6 panes are a pain. The only thing I can think of that's worse are the old colonial houses that have like 12 panes. I'm very glad we don't have one of those. So deglazing takes me about 45 minutes. I'm gonna pause and deglaze and then show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like before I start glazing, but after the glass is in. You can see these little metal brackets. These are called glazing points. They have a sharp edge and they push down into the wood and they hold the glass into the wood. So Steve's put those all the way around. Time to start glazing. I told you before, this is my glazing compound. It's called Glazol. I don't know why, but when I went to get some more of this from the hardware store, everybody was out of it. Not very many people carry it in the first place, because, I mean, let's be real. How many people are restoring 100-year-old windows? Not too many. So I had to search everywhere. I finally found it about 45 minutes away. They only had 1 gallon left. I haven't been able to find it online. I don't know whether UGL is not making the product anymore or whether they're having some sort of materials and product issues, but I'm jealously guarding this gallon and really hoping that it's gonna last me for all the windows we have to do. We'll see. So, to glaze windows, you grab a big chunk of glazing compound out of the tub, like this. Put the lid back on the tub, don't dry out your glazer. And then when you first get it out, it's cold and it breaks apart really quickly. So you have to warm it up in your hands like you're a 5-year-old playing with Play-Doh. So it starts off about room temperature, which this house is currently set to 62, and I need it to be body temperature. I want it to feel as warm as my hand. So I'm just squeezing it and rolling it around until it gets warm enough, and then I'll start glazing. The glazing is warm enough now, so I'm going to go ahead and glaze this part of this pane so that you can watch what happens. I already see there's some paint I forgot to scrape off. I want to do that before I glaze because it'll be a lot easier to do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glaze this part of this one window pane. My glazing compound is warm, so I take it and make it into a snake, roll it out so it's long and skinny, like a rope, and then I smoosh it into that section of the window frame where the glass and the wood meet. Now, if I were really good at this, I would probably be able to complete the glazing in like 1 or 2 swipes, but I'm like an apprentice level person, so it takes me multiple times. So I take my glazing tool, flat side down. My first pass is to squish the glazing into the crack between the glass and the wood frame. And then I peel off the excess and save it because this is precious gold to me. Next, I want to shave off the excess on the top where the wood is. So I flatten my glazing tool, shave that off, save the excess. So now it's squished in and the excess is shaved, so now it's time to shape it. Part of making it waterproof is angling. So you want it to angle from the wood down to the glass, and you want it to be a straight angle all the way through, 45-degree angles where the wood meet. So I'm going to start by creating the angle where I'm pressing in and attempting to draw a straight line with my glazing tool. I'm sometimes better at it than others. The glazing compound is very forgiving. And then at the end, I 45-degree angle out. Yeah, that's very nice. But I managed to do that pretty well on video. This is actually going well compared to some of my other times. I'll just do a few more passes. And there we go. I need to straighten that little edge. But that's what it looks like when it's properly glazed. And there we go.
All right, so I've shown you, before I start too much, I've shown you how the window frame is kind of set up, but I haven't yet shown you the window sash. Now this is a sash, it's one part of the window. Double-hung windows like this one have 2 sashes. 2 sashes are hung. And it has this whole thing going on. What is all that about? Well, there are different types of double-hung windows. The ones that are in our house over yonder have a slot all the way down, and that's for weather stripping. It has a metal weather stripping that fits in the slot and helps keep the sort of cold air out. You want that. This one never had it. Very simple window design. But what it does have is this slot, and that slot is always there on these kind of old double hung windows, and this is for the actual sash cord to fit in. And this is for the sash cord to sit. Now, you don't normally see them quite like this, or I guess normal. If people mess with them, you'll see this. You'll see all the way down. If people haven't messed with them, and it's original, actually, never mind. This one hasn't been messed with. I have my hand over the part that was important. What you'll see is they have this hole here. And if it's been messed with, this piece of wood here will be missing. They'll just take it out because it's annoying. Because you have to thread the sash cord through, pull it through, knot it, and then the knot sticks in this hole here. And then this basically helps hold it. Otherwise, I have to like do some sort of nailing and stuff like that in here to just hold the sash cord in place. It's kind of annoying. So because these have never been messed with, we're going to be able to do this the sort of original way. Kind of annoying part is we have to somehow figure out how to thread the needle, so to speak. And I tried to do that this morning, really didn't work very well. So I'm going to try some other methods and see if those work. Okay, so there must be a better way. There must be a better way. I managed to hook up a way to get these sash cords in the window little sockets using this handy dandy wire hangery thing that I just used a wrench to squish this down into just a plungery thing. So you can't push the sash cord in, it has to be fed. So I use this packing tape along with this wire around the sash cord, and then you just push it through. But then once it's through, you have to somehow get the tape undone while holding the sash cord with the other hand, and then pull the cord out from the other side, and then pull this out. And I did it. I did it for the sash. I mean, take a look here. This, that works. That's solid. That's really solid. And it's so solid that it won't even move. Here we go. You know, open the top sash anyway. Because of the this middle piece here is missing. It's kind of moving out of its socket a little bit. Feels like it's a little bit loose anyway. Okay, that works though. Cool. So that was super annoying, but now it's in and it's repaired, and I'm ready to move on to the next window. I'm not sure if this is the exact same window because they're all kind of the same, mix and match. So I got the bottom sash, which should be easier, theoretically. And we'll get that one in and we'll see how it goes. Okay, next.
We're almost finished restoring the windows on the second floor. Most of the windows have been reinstalled. And I'm working on painting, so you can see I've painted the trim on this window. He's missing a window stop right there, but other than that, everything's done. And then the window here is done, except I need to paint the top. So, we're coming. Second floor is almost done.